Obviously, it's no secret. I enjoy my video games. I think they're cool. You know what's even cooler than that? Is when you're playing one video game, and then within that game, you're able to play a completely different game. What's up, Grim Crew? Welcome back to the channel. I am D. I am the Grim Gamer. Welcome back for another video, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Those instances where you don't change the game that you're playing. You don't pop one disc out, put another in, or swap out one cartridge for another. No, you're playing the same game, but the next thing you know, you're playing a different game altogether. That's built into the game that you're already playing. I absolutely love when a game developer does that. It's so much fun and adds just that little bit more to the game that you're already playing. So I've compiled a list of my top 5 favorite instances of games within another game. And I'm not talking about like, oh, these are some of my favorite games that I've ever played. Far from it. I'm not saying that these are some of my favorite games ever. It's just sometimes just the way that the developers are able to introduce or able to implement other games within the game that you're already playing and the way that they go about doing it. This is my top 5 favorite ways that developers have implemented other games within another game. So without further ado, let's get into that list. Well, first of all, Sir Whoop-Ass Immortal Death is a phenomenal game to start with. It's so much fun, it's so goofy and so silly. It doesn't take itself seriously, it knows what it is, and it leans into it. Then the fact that you add a Game Boy cartridge that you can put into an arcade machine. Again, this is Sir Whoop-Ass, don't overthink this. You can play some Flappy Night. It makes this so much better. Flappy Night is apparently a parody of a viral mobile game called Flappy Bird. I don't know. I had never played it, and I had never even heard of it before making this video. So, well, it sees our hero playing as himself and trying to use his trusty jetpack to get to the end of the stage. It's a simple game. It's one button to control it, and all you do is fly up and down and try to make it through the pillars. Doesn't sound all that difficult, but it doesn't control necessarily the easiest either. And it's not very exciting, but it's a neat little activity that you can do in between pillaging the ancient ruins of Stubbed Toes and the ancient ruins of Moist Overhangs. Plus, there are multiple versions throughout the world as well. I don't know how many there are exactly, but I know that over the course of a playthrough or two, I've found at least Flappy Night 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, wherever you are during your travels through Wildwood, you can have the comfort of knowing a version of Flappy Night isn't far away, and you can escape the treacherous world and flap your knight's wings to your heart's content.
Let me try to earn it or something. Let me play you for it.
You'll play me for it?
Yeah, your little TV game thing. I bet I can beat your high score. Okay, watch and learn.
Oh, I'm learning all right.
I've said it time and time again here on the channel just how much I love Uncharted, and specifically Uncharted 4. Well, imagine my surprise that while playing as Nathan Drake and walking around his home, I would also get to play some Crash Bandicoot. Now, this absolutely blew me away the first time that I got to do this because I wasn't expecting it. And the commentary from Nate and Elena in the background as you play reminds me of the smack talk between me and my brother or me and my friends, you know, playing games back in the day. Now, I've never played a lot of Crash, but I was pretty familiar with this level of Crash. I remember this mostly from demo discs, like the Jam Pack discs. Let me know in the comments below if you remember Jam Pack. And on one of them, I distinctly remember had this level as a demo that I played over and over and over again back in the day. So being able to play this level of this game in Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 4 as Nathan Drake, who's playing it on a PS1, was literally the coolest thing ever. The only thing that knocks this down on this list is the fact that, well, it's only one level, and it's something that you don't get to play whenever you want. You know, it's kind of a one and only thing. Well, I guess one other time in the epilogue, you know, towards the end, spoiler alert there, but, you know, that you don't get to play it whenever you want. It knocks it down on the list. So I suppose it could be argued that it's not really a game within a game because of this, but you know what? It's my list and I say it counts. I think this was one of the coolest ways for a studio to repurpose one of its older IPs into one of their current ones. And it was a great way and moment to humanize the characters of Nate and Elena to make them relatable to the audience just as, you know, normal, regular people. And I absolutely loved that. Kind of makes me want to go out and buy me a copy of Crash Bandicoot for my own collection.
What? Is that it?
You asked for it. Oh.
You gotta be kidding me. I practically had it.
You can give it another shot.
Cruising around San Andreas during the PS2 era was a blast, and I still think it's one of the best GTA experiences that you can get. What I found really cool was the arcade games that you can play within this game. And I can't remember any other games that did this before GTA San Andreas. I mean, I'm sure that there are some out there, but none that I ever played that I can remember, at least right offhand anyway. There are 4 different games that you can play, and they're all over, but you can find them pretty close to CJ's house. And actually, the first one I'm going to show you, you can play in CJ's house. So you walk up to this TV and game console, and you can play They Crawled from Uranus. Yeah, silly name, I know, but it's GTA, so what do you expect? But from what I've read, it's primarily based on the 1983 arcade game Gyruss. And apparently similar to Gyruss, the gameplay involves controlling a spaceship that moves around a circular path to shoot at waves of enemies that are approaching you from the center of the screen. And I also read that the title of the game and its theme is a parody of classic, like, 1950s science fiction B movies, especially referencing It Came from Outer Space. So I thought that was kind of neat. This may be my second favorite of the 4 games that you can play in GTA San Andreas. I really do enjoy this one. Next, we can go right down the street to the 10 Green Bottles bar. And inside are 2 arcade cabinets. So first, we'll look at Go-Go Space Monkey, a side-scrolling shooter heavily influenced by retro arcade shooters like R-Type. The game features a monkey in a spaceship fighting enemies to stop evil bananas. Yeah. But the game scrolls to the right, and you blast away at enemies, collecting power-ups along the way. This one I don't care for as much. But this is just simply not my style of game. Not a huge fan of shoot-em-ups quite like this. Some shoot-em-ups are cool, but ones particularly like this, not really my thing, so I don't play this one much. Right next to that, we have Let's Get Ready to Bumble. It's a simple game where you take control of a bee, and you fly from the bottom of the screen to the top, collecting flowers as you go and trying to avoid the thorns. Sounds simple enough, right? But from what I read, this one is a parody of a 1980s platform game, Bomb Jack. But I looked up Bomb Jack, and I don't quite see the resemblance personally, but I can't really compare it to anything else either, so what do I know? And of course, its title parodies Michael Buffer's famous catchphrase, "Let's get ready to rumble." This one is probably my favorite of the 4 in this game because it's different. It stands out. The other 3 are space shooters of some sort. So yes, the last one I have to show you is also a space shooter as well. But because of that, this one it's just different from the other 3. And so when I play GTA San Andreas and I want to play a game within a game, I'll usually find myself playing this one. Lastly, we can go to this 24/7 convenience store where we can find another Go-Go Space Monkey machine, which just goes to show that you can find these machines in several locations spread out throughout the map. And we have our last game, Duality. And best that I can tell, it's primarily based on the classic 1980s arcade game Asteroids. The player controls a ship in 2D space, rotating and using its thrusters to navigate space, while requiring the player to manage both white, which are positive, and black, which are negative, spheres, which each have their own separate scoring. This one I just kind of find boring, to be honest with you. I don't really care for this one, and I never really play it. It's something I go, I should try this one again, and I do, and I realize why I don't play it. Still, it is there, and you can play it. But again, this is one of, if not the first instance that at least I can remember growing up playing a game within a game. And every now and then, it's still fun to go back and play these games while I'm playing some GTA.
Check it out.
Fallout 4 is a massive game, and in the Wasteland, you can find 6 more games to play. Well, 5 if you don't have the Automatron DLC, but if you do, 6. And you can play them on the computers or on your trusty Pip-Boy. All of these holotape games are retro games that were published between like 1978 and 85, but given a Fallout theme to match the rest of the game's universe. First, in alphabetical order, we have Atomic Command. This one, like most of these games that are in Fallout 4, it's pretty obvious what it's based on. But this one in particular is based on the 1980 game Missile Command. You gotta shoot down missiles and planes before they destroy your landmarks that are at the bottom of the screen. I'm not very good at this one. So I don't play this one very much, but I think it is a very cool version of Missile Command and a cool addition to the Fallout 4 retro video game library. Next, we have Grognak and the Ruby Ruins. This one, I didn't know what it was based on, but apparently it's based on the 1985 fantasy RPG, The Bard's Tale. This is a text-based, turn-based combat role-playing game where you play as Grognak. You pick some companions and set off on an epic adventure. This one is definitely not for me. I didn't grow up playing games like this, and games like this are just, they're way too slow-paced for me. So this one is simply not for me. I just can't get into it, but I have played it for a few different times, and I do have to say, I find it impressive that Bethesda added in a game like this that's as close to an older RPG as you can get inside of Fallout 4. So for fans of games like this one is definitely worth picking up and seeking out in the Wasteland. Next up, we've got Pitfall. And by the name alone, you can tell this is based on the 1982 game Pitfall. This one is a side-scrolling action-adventure game. You play as the Vault Boy. You travel through the wasteland trying to avoid nuclear gas, radioactive waste, creatures, and, well, just everything that's trying to kill you. The goal is to collect 5 of the Vault Boy bobbleheads within 300 seconds without dying. Good luck with that. But this game is definitely more my style. I still suck at it, but that's because for some reason I have trouble with timing jumps in this one. I'm always too soon or I'm always too late, and I can't really find out why. I don't really know, but I have trouble with timing jumps in this one. But still, I like it. I like this one, and I at least make it a point to play it each and every time I play Fallout 4. Next up is Red Menace, and it's the first of these games that you can find while you're still inside the vault at the start of the game. The others, I don't remember right offhand where you find them, but you can easily look up their locations these days. This one you wouldn't know and wouldn't tell by the title, but it's based on the all-time classic Donkey Kong from 1981. You play as Vault Boy again, you climb ladders, you run along the platforms, you avoid the barrels and missiles as you try to run up and save the woman from the Red Menace at the top of the platform. This is the one that I think I play the most out of all the holotape games in Fallout 4, but I have the same issue with this one as I did with Pitfall, and that's the timing. The timing of the jumps. I'm not sure why. I'm either too early or too late. I'm not sure why that is. I keep struggling with that, but either way, I still continue to try to get through as much of this one as I can every single time I play Fallout 4. Next is Zeta Invaders, based on yet another all-time classic, 1978's Space Invaders. The game where wave after wave after wave of enemies are trying to destroy you, and you have to destroy them first. The goal is simple. Destroy as many as you can and drive up that score. This one is kind of just there for me. To be honest, though, I never really cared for Space Invaders. Well, I know it's a classic, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate Space Invaders. It just kind of is. Like, so it's just there. So when I fire up Fallout 4, I at least have to play one round of Zeta Invaders. I don't really try all that hard, but, you know, I go until I get a game over, and then I put the game down. But I just have to see what score I can get in Zeta Invaders every now and again. And finally, if you got the DLC of the same name, there is Automatron. Based on the 1982 game Robotron 2084, the goal is simple. Take out all the enemies on screen. In this one, you can move freely around the screen as you try to avoid and mow down all of the robots and enemies in your way. This one may be one of my favorites out of the 6. And I think that it fit alongside the rest of all of the other robot-themed content of the Automatron DLC. Altogether, I think this is a very cool collection of retro-inspired titles that you can play on the go throughout your adventures through the Wasteland. I really like how they incorporated these into the game with the holotapes, and they didn't do just one game. They could have just done one game and been done. No, they gave you 6 different ones, and the way that they did them, the way they incorporated them, with the way that they themed these different games, it was really, really cool. So these are games that I absolutely have to play, at least for a few minutes every time I revisit the Wasteland. So, having Arcade Paradise as my number 1 may feel like I'm sort of cheating here with this list, because the whole idea of Arcade Paradise is to play games within this game. That's what you do. That's what the game is designed to do. But this game takes it another step further. So late in the game, you unlock an arcade cabinet called Knuckles and Knees. And it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up inspired by games like Double Dragon. And already, that's pretty awesome because I love my beat-em-up games. But this beat-em-up game, inside of the Arcade Paradise game, takes it to the next level. If you enter the King Wash building in Knuckles and Knees, there are 5 more games you can play. That's right. So now you're playing a game within a game within a game. So how cool is that? Right? Now, these are extremely basic versions of some classic games, but they're there and you can play them. First up, all the way on the right-hand side, we've got Racer, which I'm not 100% sure what it's based on exactly, but it sort of reminds me of like the 1983 Spy Hunter, you know, the top-down type driving game, but this one has no shooting involved, at least not that I can tell. You just move side to side and try to avoid the other cars. That's all there is to it. You know, it's not much. It's not hard. It's not complicated, but none of these are. But this one, this one in particular, I actually find it quite fun. Then, next to that, we have Snake. This one, I think I can best compare to games like Surround or Blockade from the 70s. And in this one, you're a little snake, and you have to try to surround what I'm guessing is your prey. The other small dot on the screen. That's it. The other dot doesn't seem to move or do anything like that, and so it's not very hard. But you know, thinking about it, maybe it would move if a second person controlled it. I don't know if you can do that or not. I haven't actually had a chance to try that, but you can play this Knuckles and Knees beat 'em up 2 players, so you might be able to do something with this with the second player. I don't really know, but either way, on your own, like this one is way too boring, and I'm not a fan. Next up in this line, we've got Brick, and this one looks to be based on Breakout. And I don't know why, but I've always kind of liked Breakout, or games like Breakout. There's something that, I don't know, is satisfying, I guess, for the lack of a better term, about just sitting back and casually knocking this wall out piece by piece. If I'm just in the right mood, I could play a game like Breakout for a couple of hours. So having this one, Brick, as a playable game inside of a game, I think is actually pretty cool. Next to that, we have Toad. And by the name alone, you could possibly guess it's Frogger. Everyone knows Frogger. You know, hop the little frog, in this case, the Toad, or rather, the Dot, across the roads and try not to get squished by the cars. I mean, absolute classic, right? Absolute classic. And it's so cool that the developers added a version of Frogger to Arcade Paradise, but they did it in such an interesting way. I think it's really neat. Finally, we've got Fly Guy. Oh, wait. It's Flappy Night! Not really, but hey, I don't know Flappy Bird. So to me, this is Flappy Night. And somehow, believe it or not, it controls even worse than Flappy Night does. Still, just like Flappy Night, you have to try to fly between the pillars and try to beat your high score. And I have to try to beat my score every single time I play this. I just have to. But seriously, it's probably the worst feeling one out of these 5 games that you can play, but I play it anyway. I just have to. So are they my favorite games within a game? No. But are they my favorite games within a game within a game? Absolutely. I love the way that they put these games in here like this. I love the way that they were implemented. Now, I'm sure there may be some other instances of this happening out there in the gaming world somewhere, but I don't know of any other game that lets you play a game within a game within a game. So that makes this super cool to me. And this is definitely my favorite instance of being able to play a game in a game, hands down. There you have it. My top 5 instances of games within another game. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you don't miss out on any other content coming to the channel, whether it's top 5 lists like this one or retro game unboxings, retro game hunting, the live stream replays, or just whatever it is I decide to do. And let me know in the comments down below some of your favorite instances of games within other games. So that, I am the Grim Gamer, and I will catch y'all next time.